This might not be the only three-wheeled bizarro and crazy mode of transportation around, but it certainly might be the most desirable. From our pals out there in Provo, Utah comes an all-electric, super fun and pretty rapid way to completely mess up your perm. I'm talking about the Vanderhall Edison 2. So welcome back to Gearbox Pizza, your one-stop shop for mildly biased information and opinions on all things fast and faster. Alright, so what is this thing? Well, you may not have heard of these guys. So they opened up shop all the way back in 2010, and in 2012 they announced their first sled, a three-wheeled two-seater called the Laguna. They would continue developing these three-wheeled gas-powered models, and you can still pick up a gas-powered version today. But it's pretty clear where the future is headed, and Vanderhall took note, and here we are, the all-electric Edison 2. Okay, so let's talk some numbers. So there's two motors, one in each of the front wheels. Apparently, and according to physics, powering the front wheels here instead of that single rear wheel sort of results in a much better driving experience when it comes to acceleration and handling and blah blah blah. And I get it. I'll buy that, I suppose. But I don't know, a single big motor powering that one rear wheel does kind of sound like a bunch of fun in a, I don't know, potentially panic attack inducing sort of way. Now, there are some rumors that the successor to this fella may have an optional higher performance R version that's going to use 3 motors. Now, it might not be needed as this thing is really plenty fast already, and adding that third motor is just going to add to the price, the weight, the complexity of a pretty simple kind of EV. Anyway, as it is now, this guy produces about 140 horsepower and 232 pound-feet of torque. And yeah, look, it doesn't sound like much, but keep in mind this fella is a lightweight, coming in at 1,400 pounds. That sort of conservative pair of motors are strong enough to get this fella to 60 miles an hour in as low as 4 seconds flat. Yep, she's a quick gal. Also, keep in mind that the sensation of speed is being multiplied like big time, but the fact that there's no doors, no roof, and your ass is like almost on the ground. Yeah, power is not a concern here. All right. So it's fast, cool. But that's only part of the equation when it comes to EVs. Now, what seems to be everybody's first question, how far can it go? Well, the battery is decent size for something this small. It's 28.8 kilowatt hours, which translates to a claimed range of about 200 miles. But look, that range seems to be pretty optimistic to me. I mean, if you're able to drive this thing like some square that's more interested in lame hypermiling stats from an 8-year-old Prius, then yeah, maybe you'll get 200 miles. Otherwise, expect maybe like 120 to 140 miles of actual range if you're driving this thing like it's meant to be driven. But look, honestly, I think there's plenty of range here considering how most of these are probably going to be used. I mean, this is not, hey, look, it's not your daily driver sort of thing, right? So the onboard charger, it's good enough, 6 kilowatts, meaning the Edison can be fully recharged from just about any level 2 charger in about 4 hours. And a little math tells us that we should be able to get about 35 miles of real world range per charge hour. If you don't have access to a level 2 charger, a regular outlet will recharge this thing a good chunk of the way overnight, but yeah, it's not great. All right, so on to the price. And the good news here is that the price is about the same for the electric version as the gas version. I'm talking about 35 grand, which is actually a pretty decent value if you ask me. Now, unfortunately, and as of right now, there's not much help from Uncle Sam as far as tax rebates go, but legislation is changing quickly, so there could be a discount in the future. The real issue here is that this whole point is sort of moot. You see, the Edison 2 has been completely sold out. That's the bad news. The good news, Vanderhall is releasing a successor soon. Now, there's really no info on this thing, but I'd expect the obvious here. I'd bet on a bit more power with a third motor option on a special R sort of trim. It's also a pretty safe bet to say that the battery is probably going to grow a little bit, or perhaps there's even going to be some battery options. Look, I'm not sure I'd drop extra cash here for a bigger and heavier battery for some more range that you probably don't need. But look, we're going to be keeping our eyes open for any developments here, so make sure you just nice and gently, don't want to break it. See that subscription button? Just a nice little tap, and we'll keep you up to date on all future developments. All right, so what's the bottom line? Well, I kind of love this thing. Now, There's no way I'd be getting something like this as my daily driver or only mode of transportation, but as somebody who's sort of recently crashed their motorcycle, I look at this and I'm thinking I can get a good part of the excitement of a motorcycle, but in something that hopefully is somewhat safer.